Russia's lethal-looking KA-52 attack helicopters have reappeared in video footage blasting targets in Syria, catching some journalists in Europe by surprise. Even if Russia withdraws the Agile attack helicopters, the type will remain active in the Middle East in Egyptian service. The lean, two-seat KA-52 is visually distinguished by its pronounced nose, and is fittingly dubbed the Alligator. The nimble, ultra-maneuverable Scout attack helicopter uses two 3-bladed contra-rotating rotors for stability so that it can go without a lag-inducing tail rotor, allowing the helicopter to soar at up to 196 miles per hour, nearly 20% faster than an Apache. According to Russian media, unlike the more heavily armored Mi-28 Newton's Havoc, the Alligator can both glide like a plane and pivot 90 degrees on the spot. Indeed, when NATO first learned of the Alligator's predecessor, the single-seat KA-50 Black Shark, it was assumed to be a purpose-designed anti-helicopter platform for chasing down American gunships. This was not really the case, though the KA-50 and KA-52, NATO code names HOCM A and B, reportedly can mount deadly R-73 heat-seeking air-to-air missiles. The helicopter's primary mission is reconnaissance and ground attack. 32 KA-50s served as prototypes in the 1990s and 2000s, each configured differently from the previous model. In 2001, a few Black Sharks launched rockets and laser-guided missile strikes on Chechen insurgent camps. Later in the decade, the Russian Air Force finally ordered more than 146 of an upgraded two-seater version, the KA-52, of which 94 were delivered by the end of 2016. In January 2016, as Moscow announced it was withdrawing its air force from Syria, it dispatched a contingent of KA-52 attack helicopters which began airstrikes on Syrian rebels and ISIS fighters. In April 2016, the first recording of the type emerged in action, blasting ISIS forces in Al-Qaryatayn with unguided rocket pods. Some accounts claim they were dispatched on as many as 5 sorties a day. Reflecting their role as a reconnaissance platform, the KA-52s were also reported to be using their laser targeting systems to cue an airstrike by more heavily armed Su-25 Frogfoot ground attack jets. They reportedly played an important role in driving ISIS forces from Palmyra in the winter of 2016-17. Another video, dated at August 2017, shows them employing laser-guided missiles to destroy transports and tanks. Around this time they were reported to have conducted airstrikes in support of Syrian paratroopers seizing the town of Alligator in Homs province. And for a good measure, during the enormous Zapad 2017 military exercise, a KA-52 gave spectating journalists a terrifying up-close demonstration of the effects of a rocket pod barrage. Fortunately, nobody was killed. The Western Military District explained that the Alligator had erroneously locked on a wrong target. You can see the camera footage from the KA-52 in question here. Unlike the heavily armored Mi-24 Hind helicopters, which are expected to wade in closer to the action, the KA-52 is intended to pick off enemy armored vehicles from as far as 5 miles away using up to 12 laser-guided 9K-121 Viker, Whirlwind, anti-tank missiles, or KH-25ML air-to-ground missiles. These exceed the range of man-portable surface-to-air missiles like the Stinger, save for possibly the latest model. However, the Alligator's FH-01 Arbela ground surveillance radar is mounted in its nose, meaning that it must expose its entire airframe while scanning for targets, unlike the Mi-28 Newtons and AH-64, which have a radar mounted atop the rotor that can peek above hills or trees. The Arbela has a ground search range of 15 miles. These KA-52's weapons are mounted on 6 hardpoints slung under the stub wings, which can also accommodate bombs and rocket or gun pods. In addition, there are flare and chaff dispensing pods on the wingtips to decoy enemy missiles, and a fixed 30mm 2A42 autocannon under the fuselage for strafing enemy personnel and vehicles. An undernose turret mounts an electro-optical and forward-looking infrared (FLIR) sensor for detection and targeting purposes. The Alligator has also been fitted with a new electronic warfare countermeasure system, a radar warning receiver and Uniquely for a helicopter, an ejection system that blasts off the rotors before ejecting the crew. Overall, however, the KA-52 is still generally thought to lags behind the AH-64E Apache Guardian in terms of avionics. The Russian Navy also planned on operating naval KA-52K choppers on Mistral-class amphibious assault carriers built by France. The awesomely named Kitran, spiny dogfish, variant boasted folding wings and rotor blades, reinforced landing gear, anti-corrosion surfaces, a more powerful naval search radar with a range of 100 miles, and the capability of firing Kh-35 anti-ship missiles at targets up to 80 miles away. However, Putin's seizure of Crimea caused Paris to axe the carrier deal, leaving Russia's naval helicopters without a ship to embark upon. The Russian Navy will only operate a handful of Kitrans, which can only deploy from the breakdown-prone carrier Admiral Kuznetsov, which has its hands full carrying other types of aircraft. Nonetheless, the Kuznetsov did combat deploy a number of KA-52Ks during its combat deployment to Syria in 2016. Russia has tried long and hard to sell the KA-52 abroad. South Korea, India and Turkey have all spurned Moscow's Alligator hawking advances, even though Kyiv even developed a Turkish export variant dubbed the Warthog, which happens to share a name with the Turkish president. In 2015 Moscow finally found a buyer in Egypt, which has been keen in recent years to signal the United States that it can purchase its weapons elsewhere if Washington insists on criticism of Cairo's poor human rights record. The so-called Nile crocodile variant developed for Egypt features a reinforced hull, tropicalized components for Egypt's hot, sandy climate, and significantly enhanced radar and defensive countermeasure systems. It just so happens that Egypt also ended up purchasing those Mistral amphibious carriers from France. Therefore, Russia is also attempting to foist KA-52K naval helicopters on Cairo, though negotiations are still ongoing. 15 out of a total order of 46 will be in Egyptian service by the end of 2017. As Cairo remains mired fighting an Islamist insurgency in the Sinai region, and is also increasingly involved in the civil war in Libya, it seems possible that the Nile crocodiles will eventually see action. Thus the nimble Alligator gunships are likely to continue to making their presence felt in the Middle East for some time.